Hello. So y'all know one of the things I do is I deal with a lot of different instrument artists. And so this particular song is by a Garen. He was actually a guest on the Move Unscripted a couple of weeks ago. Actually, he didn't even get to make it to the show because when he was supposed to come, there was a big snowstorm in Texas, and so he didn't get to come on the show because they was like there was no power. But I like his music, so I'll try to come on here and there and play some of the independent artists that come on the show. So you can always tune into our shows on Wednesdays and Thursdays on blogtalkradio.com/Patricia Goins. Although yesterday we didn't have one, but sometimes we'll take a break. Yesterday was one of the days, but most of the days we're on. So I'm a pop up periodically, and I really don't have no rhyme or reason. It's just certain things. I'm digging my list. Certain things will just make me be like, you know what, I want to do a live. So I don't have no certain plan. I just go by what I feel. And I just wanted to see, is anybody else seeing what I see? Like, I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio, right? Columbus, Ohio is predominantly Caucasian, African Americans are definitely the minority here. But mind you, I have been living in Atlanta for on and off for 20 years between Atlanta and Chicago. So I got to see three different ways of life, and I got to see all of this before the pandemic. So now that, we're coming off of the pandemic, things are starting to slowly but surely, change. I'm noticing certain things that maybe were always there, but it just didn't seem so blah in your face. And then I just want to know: am I seeing what everybody else is seeing? And am I responding the way everyone else is responding? And is that the right way to respond? So a lot of people don't know that Chicago. Let's start with Chicago. I'm Atlanta, Columbus, and then I'm gonna explain what happened yesterday that made me even, and not just yesterday, but over the course of days, that has made me want to talk about this. So Chicago is a predominantly segregated city. It really is. It's like your African Americans live over here, and your college students might live over here, and your predominantly white might live over there, and your Asians live over there, and your Polish live around there. Like everybody is segregated, and then your gay population might live over there in that area. Like everybody in Chicago, from when I lived there, it was very segregated. You have more of your African Americans that lived south and west. And then north, you have more of your other different populations. Hyde Park was probably the most melting pot out of all the different places because you had a little bit of everybody there. But overall, Chicago is a very segregated city. So, and people really don't too much venture into different areas. Like you might have some people who live on the south side that have literally never went to the west side and have no desire to go there, and vice versa. It's very segregated. Atlanta, the metro Atlanta is more of a mixed population and definitely heavily in the African American community, African Americans. But outside of the metro Atlanta area is where you have a larger Caucasian population. So I never really felt any type of real, in Chicago, I never really felt any racism type thing, except for maybe when you went downtown when there was a melting pot of different people. And still, it wasn't blatant in your face. It just wasn't. Atlanta, Definitely because I lived in the urban community. And, I didn't experience it. I experienced more issues with my own kind than I did with other races. Um, the only time I really felt the thickness of the racism thing is when I tried to approach, people of Caucasians or whatever when I was at the underground, because the underground, which is downtown, you got people from everywhere coming. So when I used to try to, maybe sell something or talk to somebody or just anything, I just felt more of a, it was just more of a, if there was, if I don't know if I would call it racism, but definitely you felt like a don't talk to me type thing, right? Columbus, my hometown, before I left 20 years ago, um, we all lived together in harmony. The whites and blacks, we lived together in harmony. I really wanted to experience living in a city that was predominantly black because I wanted to see what that was like because I had never grew up in that. But in my home in Columbus, Ohio, we all lived together. In high school, we all went to high school together. We were bussed in, of course, because of the integration or whatever. But we all lived together like we was in harmony. I can't say I really experienced any type of racism that I can remember in Columbus, but something has happened. I don't know. There. I feel like this pandemic, or maybe not even a pandemic. Maybe it was. Maybe I noticed it when Obama. In fact, I know I did. I noticed the beginning of the shift when Obama was on his campaign trail because I was living in Atlanta during that time, and I was living in Clayton County to be exact. And I remember the year that Obama went on his campaign trail was the same year that they stopped busing for the whole county for the whole Clayton County. They stopped busing for the whole county of Clayton. I was there then, and I remember that was just crazy because we had to learn how to. And this is before Uber, so Uber really got its jump start during that period of time when Clayton County and Georgia stopped busing because we had nowhere to get around. We couldn't get to work. We couldn't. We could. It was like they just cut us off. I started to realize something wasn't right. Then I started seeing little things on the internet that was definitely racially blah, you know, and it just seemed to escalate even more and more throughout the whole Obama presidency. And then here comes Trump, which is like if he put if there was racism during Obama, he put gasoline on it, right? Because it's just like it was just race against race. It was just like so blatant in your face. And I'm just like, so now that the presidency is over, and I know everybody isn't happy that Biden won, especially people who supported Trump or whatever. But the energy within the people, within the mindset, is still lingering. Um, I went to Babylon. It was Babylon. Because my yeah, this is yesterday. Now I'm bringing to present time. So I went to Babylon yesterday because my front light had gone out, and it's in Whitehall area, which is kind of mixed or whatever. But when I drive up, there's a line, and I'm just like, do y'all do change lights? And it was like, yeah. I'm like, cool. So I actually kind of fell asleep because I wasn't feeling that great yesterday. So I think I kind of dozed off a little bit while I was waiting because it was a long time. So when I finally, I think they had to wake me up because I really fell asleep. Like wait, I'm like, I didn't. They took so long. I didn't pull back my seat and chill. Next thing I know, so anyway, when it was my turn, they woke me up and I drove forward. The man, the technician, it was a Caucasian technician, and you could just feel his energy. You could just tell that I don't know if he had had a bad day. I don't know if his wife told me he couldn't have none last night. I don't know if he just the energy that he gave me was so bleh. It was just like I was just like, yeah, I'm here. I just want to get a change on my front thing. He's like, I know what you're here for. Just what's your mileage? Well, damn. I'm like, okay, I'm telling him now. And turn your car. But I'm like, he was so nasty, and I couldn't understand. Like, well, you get one for customer service, buddy, because y- your attitude is horrible. Like, and I was just watching his mannerisms, and every time I would say something, the expression on his face, and I just looked at him and I said, "This man is prejudiced. This man got an issue with what happened to do something for an African American woman, or African American period." I felt that energy from him. So he came, he played around with the card. He came back. We don't have your light bulb. I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, is there another Babylon that I could go to?" Oh yeah, there's one out there. Reynoldsburg. I said, well, can you can you look and tell me if they actually have the light bulb before I go all the way out there? I don't mind driving. This is what he did. Well, damn. So he's like, well, I don't have access to their system. I said, well, can you call them and see if they have before I drive all the way out there? And he did another. So he pulls up his phone, right? I'm sitting here like because I'm obviously pissing this man off, right? So I'm just waiting. Now, mind you, he got it. He pulls out his phone and he does something on his phone, and he's looking somewhere on the computer. I don't know what the hell he's doing. And then he puts the phone up there and he says, "They're not answering." I said, "Well, can I have the number?" And then he played around with his phone some more. I had my phone in my hand and I'm waiting for him because you didn't just call the number. So it's not like you got to look for the number because you didn't just call it, right? And they didn't answer. So the number should be right there in your call list. And I was just told him. So after about 2 minutes, I said, I'm ready whenever you are. Hold on, please. That man was blatantly racist. Like, and it's not just him. I've just noticed like the energy between us, between you know African Americans and Caucasians and Asians, and the whole racial issue is just crazy. People are so impatient. They're so toxic. Even when you're driving, they will run you off the road. It's just like there's the energy, and I'm just like, does anybody else see what I see? Is anybody else noticing the tension? And so it made me think, like, am I acting that way too? Like, am I being impatient with people from different races, or just period? Am I being impatient? Am I being um, um, nasty? Is my person not like? Am I rubbing off on people wrong? Is my energy drawing that reaction from people? Like, or am I showing unconditional love? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Am I being irritable? Like, is anybody else noticing the energy between between the Caucasians and the African Americans, or even what's going on with like the shooting of the Asians and stuff, and all that kind of stuff? Like, I know what is going on? I know America has always had our issues, you know, but has the last 12 years just undone 200 years worth of work? Like, what is really going on? Are people really going back to a time where they're hating each other because of the color of their skin? Like, and making it obvious? They're making it obvious. At least they used to hide it. I'm sure it was always, but at least they used to hide it. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't the. So today, I have this app on my phone, which is called Holy Bible. And so today, they give us a scripture every day. I don't know if you have paid attention to that, or if you have that, but they give us a scripture every day. And today's scripture was, and it's coming out of 1 Corinthians 13:13. And it says, and now by the faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity. And charity means love. So love is saying that, faith, hope, and love, these are the greatest. But love is the greatest of all. Like unconditional love, like love. And so I feel like I had to ask myself, after I read that scripture and after I thought about, the tension that I'm seeing amongst, the different races in America, that has intensified times 55, and has grown in intensity ever since the first black man was on his campaign trail. He had not even won the presidency when I noticed the change, when I saw the shift. He hadn't even won the presidency when Clayton County stopped busing. And what's the most craziest to me is that they didn't have busing for 8 years. And they literally did not stop busing back until Trump won. When Trump won, then I don't know where they found the money, because they couldn't find it none before. But as soon as Trump won office, boom, here comes this money to get busing started back again. How do you stop busing for a whole county just for 8 years? For 8 years, it's we are definitely not showing love. There's an artist that I work with. Her name is Jessie Tyler Williams, and she has a song called "Love Is All There Is," and she's a country artist, kind of pop, but the words, because I'm a person who I like to listen to words. I like, when I hear a song, I don't just listen to the music, I listen to the words. And she has a song called Love Is All There Is. And we really need to get back to love. I really feel like if this coronavirus thing didn't teach us nothing else, if this last year didn't teach us anything else, it should have taught us that we are all connected, all of us. I believe, you believe. What affects you affects me. Our country was crippled by the fear of this disease. Because I'm gonna jump off the subject. I feel like it was the fear of the disease that was feeding the disease and giving it power to spread the way it is. I'm a person who I really do believe in. And I believe in whatever you focus on will grow, because we all have our own energetic powers, and when we collectively focus our energy on anything, it's bound to grow. And I think I really started to recognize this a few years ago when we had a hurricane. It was like one of those it was a horrible hurricane that was going. It was everywhere it touched. It was just causing catastrophe upon catastrophe, and the whole world was centered on this hurricane. And the more everybody was like, the hurricane's coming and it's going to be the worst. This hurricane is going to be the worst. It's going to be the worst. And everybody was looking at this hurricane, from all over the United States, all over the world. They was focused. Everybody's energy was focused on this hurricane. And the more that they focused on the hurricane, it seemed like every hit, it was going worse and worse. And they was like, oh Lord, it's coming to you. It's coming there. It's on its way to Georgia. It's on its way to Texas. On its way. It was just like, The whole world was focused on this hurricane, and it literally was tearing up stuff. Then there came another one, and everybody they stopped focusing on that one, and that one ended up falling off somewhere. Then they focused on this other one. By the time when the second one came, it did even more damage to the first one, and everybody was like, "Oh!" But all over the United States, all over that hurricane, wherever it touched, it was horrible. The second one, people were exhausted. They were literally exhausted because of how much damage, how many lives, how much destruction, all that kind of stuff. There was another hurricane that was brewing, and the media did the same thing. Oh, here comes this hurricane, but people were so tired from the other two hurricanes that they didn't pay that hurricane no attention. And they nobody paid that hurricane no attention. I remember hearing them talk about the hurricane, but we were too busy looking at the damage that had been done by these other two that we never focused on that hurricane. And that hurricane never left the sea. It disappeared. And then we were just left with the damage of these other two hurricanes. To me, it's the same thing with the coronavirus. To me. And in fact, there was a post that somebody I shared yesterday. I really want to read this because it was so true. Wondering if anybody else knows this as well. Let me find it because to me it was so true. So let me look it up. I'm gonna read to you what it says, and I'm gonna try not to read in a boring voice. I'm trying not to. Let me see. Let me find it. Here it goes, right here. Let me bring it up so I can see it good. Okay, so it says, "Dear Pandemic." And who was this written by? First, let me give credit to whoever it was written by. Who was this written by? I don't know who it was written by. This was something that was copied and pasted and shared. This was last year, actually. So this was like in my memories. If you know on Facebook, you can listen to your memories, and the memories will come up. So it says, "Dear Pandemic, you're back. But this time it's different. You came in 1918 as the Spanish flu, infected 1/3 of us, and killed over 50 million of us. Then you vanished as fast as you came. You returned in 1957 as the Asian flu and killed 2 million of us. Then you were gone. You appeared again in 2009 as H1N1, the swine flu. You infected 1/4 of us and 200,000 of us died. Less than the deaths each year from the common flu. And here you are again today. Each time we call you a pandemic, each time we panic. Each time you kill far less of us, and yet we panic far more. Because you are not a pandemic of death or even disease. You are a pandemic of fear." In December of 2019, that fear showed up in our media, in our stock markets, and in our everyday lives. That same big fright you've given us today. But you've been here several times, and this time we see you for who you really are, a global ghost of our worries, anxieties, and deepest fears. And as with any ghost, you can only grow if we feed you. And if we don't, you disappear. John 10:10. The thief, Satan, comes only to steal and kill and destroy. So this time, instead of fear, we choose freedom. But now this is what the Lord says. "Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine." Isaiah 43:1. Instead of panic, we chose peace. For God has given us not the spirit of fear, but the power of love and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Instead of loss, we chose love. And so we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. 1 John 4:16. Thank you for visiting. We appreciate the reminder. You can go now. To turn viral fright into viral fight, pray, pray, pray. Wash your hands. It says pray, pray, pray. Theologians 5:16. Always be joyful. Never stop praying. Be thankful for be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Jesus Christ. Two, wash your hands. And then Ephesians 5:26, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of the water with the word. Three, calm your mind. John 14:27. Peace I live with you. My peace I give you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. So I'm sorry, I ain't got hot reading it. So that makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. And I already felt that way. And even now, people have gotten tired. They've gotten tired of being trapped up in the house. They've gotten tired of not being able to see their loved ones. They've gotten tired of being tired. And so their energy is shifting. Their focus is shifting. People are shifting. Even though we know it's still out there, and even though it has claimed a lot of lives, the energy is shifting because we are focusing on other things. We're no longer focusing on the virus, and so it's losing its strength. And so it's losing its power. And so soon you will see it disappear just like it did in what was the other years? Just like it did in 1918, just like it did in 1957, just like it did in 2019, that 2009, all them other times, because and just like it did for that hurricane, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever. So I'm praying that this racial division will also disappear when we stop focusing on our differences, and why we don't like each other. Because why is it that we don't like each other? Why is it? Why is it that why do we not like each other? Let's focus on that for a second. I'm in that mode, y'all. Why do we not like each other? Why do we have an issue? What is the real issue that we have with someone who doesn't look like us? What is the real different issue that we have with someone who is Caucasian, or someone who is Asian, or someone who is African, or someone who is Chinese, or Polish, or Jamaican, or all the other? What is the real issue that we have? Because you don't know the person, not unless you have an issue that's personal, because there's been some type of animosity between you on some kind of personal level. But just seeing somebody, just because they're dark skinned, or just because they're white, or just because they're Asian. Like why? Why? We're all connected. I'm sorry, I hate to tell you this. We're all connected. We really are. I don't care what Scientology, all that kind of stuff. Once Adam and Eve, or if you don't believe in Adam and Eve, there was a sperm and a freaking cell that came together that created at least one of us. And we just kept from somewhere. If you don't believe, because everybody's different spiritual beliefs, and I'm not one to tell anybody who's right or wrong. I know what I believe, I know the doctrine that I follow, but I don't knock other people's religion or what their beliefs, because who am I to judge you? I can't judge you. We ain't gonna know what's what till we get to heaven and be like, okay, so who was right? We got all these different religions and everybody think they're right, so who was right, God? But until then, who would judge? But I just feel like, however you believe we got here, the point is, it had to start, right? And multiplication over time will create more and more and more, and more and more and more and more and more and more. More and more and more, and so over decades we change, and because of where we live and the climate and and the atmosphere and mutations, all that kind of stuff. But it all boils down to, there is one chromosome, one DNA, one something that connects everybody. That means that all of y'all started. What do they call it? What is the name of that? Is it called chromosome? Is it Eve something? It's something. Let me see. I can't think of what it's called. I'm about to look it up. I'm thinking it's something like the first Adam. What? No. What is the first? I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm working two different computers. I'm sorry. I'm typing on this one. I need to be able to hear typing on this one. So let me see. What is the name of the cell that every human shares? Is it the mitochondria? What do they call it? Um, they got a name. Is it mitochondria? There's a name. I'm trying to think. What is the name of that name? What mitochondria Eve or something like that? It's like there's one DNA, mitochondria Eve. That's what it is. We all share. We all share that. In order for us to all share that, that means we all would have to have come from that person. And over time, you know, strands, traits, and all that kind of stuff is whatever. But we had to all start from there. So when you drive down the street tomorrow or today and you look over and you see that person in that car next to you, whether it's a black man, white man, green man, orange man, or whatever, just know that's your cousin. Hi, cousin. We're all connected. So this energy right now, I'm just trying to figure out, like, does everybody else see what I see? And is it growing because we're focusing on it? Is the differences between us growing because we've allowed some negativity to get into our mind and condition our mind and make us focus on the things that separate us? You know, are we focusing on racial division? Are we focusing on hatred? Are we focusing on the things that are meant to separate us instead of focusing on unconditional love, which is meant to bring us together? I was really so proud of America because we use our voices, you know, and regardless of who you voted for, I was proud that you used, you know, your right to vote. So I don't even understand what's going on in Georgia right now, where they're trying to change people's right to vote, or or make it more difficult. Like, I don't get all that, but we were able to unite. It was the first time in a long time that the United States was truly a United States, because all the states came together and said, no, 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 we ain't having that. We're gonna stick together and we're gonna get through this and we're gonna do what's right and we're gonna count those votes and we're gonna move on with our day. And we're not about to let no group of people who do not agree or whatever stop that. Like, that was a period of time when we were when we united. But now that that period is over, the residue appears to be this division, this animosity, this irritability between the races. Why? They don't need to be, because we are all connected. Now, I'm just wondering if anybody else is seeing that tension in their cities or in their state. When they're talking to someone of a different race, or even within their own race, are they noticing that they're more irritable? Or are they more short tempered? Or have they noticed that they're more impatient? You know, and I had to really just pray for myself, because I said to myself, "Am I acting that way too? Am I acting like that towards people? Am I being more irritable? Am I being more short tempered? Am I like, just like, am I putting off that energy?" Definitely want to pray to God to humble that. Because when I seen that in that man, if I be like that, mm, I would rather walk around and unconditional love and be happy as a bumblebee than to be walking around irritable, hatred, just mad at the world because of what? It's crazy. So I'm actually going to be in Atlanta on May the 8th at the Nubian Bookstore. And we're going to be, I'm going to be autographing me and some other authors. This is a book that was done by Maxine Williams, right? Um, and every one of these little, I don't know if you want to call them raindrops or teardrops, however you look at it. I saw it as raindrops. I don't know if you could see it real good, but her website is www.maxi no, not Maxi Max www.max will productions.com. So this book is a book of testimonies. It's a book of a lot of different authors. Every one of these raindrops or teardrops has a name in it. And it's the name of an author who contributed to this book that was written by Maxine Williams, right? And I've actually started reading it myself because I really feel like 2021 and 2022 is going to be years of testimonies, years of people really talking about, the things that God has done for them or how God has rebuilt them. I feel like 2021 and 2022 is going to be a year of rebuilding, God giving you back everything that you've lost. You know what I'm saying? A lot of what we go through is a test, but you have to go through a test in order to have a testimony, and sometimes the tests are long. Sometimes you got to go through the class. And if you don't pass the class the first time, you got to go back through the class because you can't really give a testimony until you come through some things. And sometimes we don't always come through the first time and we got to go back through the class or we got to be tested again. You know what I'm saying? And each time, sometimes the tests get harder and harder. But when we finally pass the class, when we finally pass the test, that's when we have a testimony. And that's when we're able to talk to other people and we're able to tell other people, you can get through that storm because I was in a similar storm and I got through it. So when the movie This Can't Be Love that a lot of people have been watching, and I always tell people it came from one of my books. It came from, I was reading a little bit of it yesterday. And some one of the viewers told me I was dry when I was reading. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so I'll be at the Nubian bookstore and I'll be selling some copies, autographing some copies of the books. And some of the authors in this book will be there. But I really feel like, 2021 is going to be about rebuilding. 2022 is going to be about rebuilding. And there's going to be a lot of testimonies. I just feel like testimonies is going to be the theme for a couple of years because 2020 was, people was like, oh, 2020, 2020 vision, 2020 vision. Before in 2019, everybody was like, 2020, I can't wait for 2020. 2020 definitely opened your eyes and allowed you to see stuff that you've been ignoring. It brought some stuff to the surface, a lot of stuff. It made you see the importance of family. It made you realize that you can feel like you on the top of your game, but you can lose it just as easy as you got it. And that nobody is really no better than the other. The only difference might be between money or whatever, but when you lose something, everybody can fall just like that. And the people and the loved ones that you've been taking for granted, they can be gone just like that. 2020 showed us a lot of stuff. It shows a lot of stuff about our government. It showed, it just uncovered a lot of stuff. 2020 was a humdinger. That was a test. That was a test. That was a test. But I feel like, after the storm, there's always a rainbow. After every storm, there's always a rainbow. There's always something that God leaves as a present for making it through that storm. For those who transition, onto heaven or the next life or whatever your beliefs are about what happens after you die. For those who transition, it was their time. I I was always telling people throughout this pandemic, you're not going to leave here until God says it's time. If God says that you're going to leave by way of virus, then that's how you're going to leave. But if that's not what God has said, then that's not how you rolling up out of here. So there was no need to have fear. You just got to trust God and just know it is what it is. I lost my sister the year before, um, in 2018, and that was a rough emotional time. But I had to understand that it was her time, even though it was difficult because it was unexpected. So a lot of people lost family members unexpectedly, and that can be difficult. But you just got to understand that there's more to this life than what we see, and there's a reason. Some people may have were never meant to be here for more than uh, um, you know, 25 years, 35 years, 45, 50, 60 years, maybe in their spiritual walk or the reason why God even sent them to earth, they were only supposed to be in that form for a certain period of time to learn whatever they were supposed to learn for their spiritual walk or for somebody else that they were supposed to meet, whoever they were supposed to meet, teach, whatever. They were only here for a specific period of time. I feel the same way about babies when they die before they even ever had a life. Maybe that was part, they were never supposed to be here for more than that. And maybe the lesson wasn't so much for the newborn baby, but for the parent, you know what I'm saying? Or the people that are connected to the baby. You know, we'll all understand when we get to heaven, we can ask those exact questions. But I just feel like for those of us who did not transition and we made it through because your mission, your purpose, and your assignment is not done. There's still more to this life that you either have to learn or teach, you know what I'm saying, or experience. Um, and I really feel like 2021 and 2022 are going to be a rebuilding years for a lot of people. I'm not gonna say for everybody because I don't know everybody's story and I don't know everybody's karma because I don't know what everybody has been doing and only them and God know. But for a majority of people who went through whatever you went through last year, you know, some people had more crippling experiences than others. Some didn't have any bad experience at all. Some people will still work throughout the whole time, and the worst issue was trying to make sure they had toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? Other people, they lost stuff. They lost businesses. They lost everything, But regardless of what happened in that year, I feel like 2021 and 2022 are going to be about testimonies, about, about um, getting what you lost with, but double. That's how I feel. But the one thing that I think we need to focus on is on unconditional love instead of focusing on the racial division that appears to be growing, you know, or brewing, or the irritability or the impatience. Love is patient, love is kind, love is forgiving, love is understanding, love is all those things. And so I had to tell myself, you know, change has to start from us, from me, from you. And then it spreads out into the world. So I'm going to really try not to be irritable. And what I probably should have asked that man at Babylon, I should have been like, are you having a bad day? And not in a negative way. Not in a negative way that would have made that frown deepen even more into his spirit, but one that would have made him be like, darn, I must be really acting mean. Why am I acting mean to this lady? And all she wants is her lamp change. But I'm just noticing this energy. So I guess we have to all kind of like I don't know, do our part so that we can stop this energy. Just like the pandemic is sliding away, but we don't need the hatred. We don't need the hatred, man. We don't. We need to turn our earth because it's been in a reversal on this axle, and it has taken us to a through a time warp, and it's taken us back to this ugly period that almost ended up being like a civil war type thing, you know. So now we have to just reverse it, and we have to put it back in forward motion and move forward as a people and as a country so that we can rebuild, so that we can take our place back, you know, on the top of the ladder as far as America, United States. Because right now everybody looking down at us like po things. We like the baby kids of the of the world. It's like we used to be when people used to say America, it used to be with pride, and people be like, I want to go to America. America's the bomb America got going on and that. But now over these last few years, America, when you say her name, they're like America, man. We like the baby kids of the world. So we didn't become a third world country. We got to get up out of that energy. But I feel like we're going to rebuild. I don't know. Certain things have to happen in order for that rebuilding to begin. Um, so there's a lot of things right now that African Americans are focusing on, and one of them is the George Floyd case. We're looking at that. We're paying attention to that because we all saw that man get killed on. We all saw that display for the world to see. So the fact that we even got to have the trial should be this quick, boom, 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 snap, guilty, because we all saw there is no reason why that officer should have had his knee on that man's neck for 9 minutes. Not when, see, I'm a nurse by trade, so I'm a civil worker, so I understand. Once he was, even if he is, for whatever reason, the counterfeit $20 bill or whatever it was, because I got my own feelings about that, because where is that counterfeit $20 bill? I want to see that, you know. But for whatever it was that brought the officers to this, they got to look at some things. Like, one, these two, George Floyd and that officer, worked at the same club, so they knew each other. He knew him. He recognized him. So we don't know if there was some animosity or some issues or whatever that could have transpired between them. I don't know. If the guy was on drugs, okay, cool. If George was on drugs and he had to subdue him because he battled, because he didn't want to get into the back of that car, and we don't know why he didn't want to get into the back of that car. You know, there got to be a reason. I mean, because even if I mean, if he suspected that it was a $20 bill that he was trying to, you know, to sell or whatever, do they? Oh, maybe I guess they would arrest somebody if they tried to um, pass a $20 counterfeit bill. But where's the counterfeit bill? Like, I want to see that $20 counterfeit bill. Um, but even still, once they were able to get this man in handcuffs and he was placed face down on the ground, there was no longer a need to have your knee on his neck. And especially when the man starts saying he couldn't breathe. When the man starts crying out for his mama, and you still got your knee on his neck for 9 minutes. You never even tried to aid him to see why it is that he said he can't breathe. You don't even, when he goes unconscious, you don't even start CPR. In fact, you don't even move. Even after he's no longer moving, you don't move your knee. The paramedics have to basically tell you move when they finally get there. The world is seeing that. African Americans, we're seeing it's that has to stop. Like that definitely has to stop. Just the police brutality thing just has to stop. That's one thing. That's one way that we could start to heal our country is for these officers to um, do the right thing, you know, and leave your feelings and your emotions and your prejudices and your racisms and your hatreds and all that stuff. Leave that at home when you go out to serve the public. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's one area. It is a lot of different things that we need to work on as a country. But I think that as a people, we just need to start showing more love. We unconditional love is so necessary, and I think if we could focus on love the way we focus on hurricanes and diseases and viruses, if we put that same kind of focus on love the way we focus on hatred and football and basketball and all the kind of other stuff, if we could focus on unconditional love, just loving somebody, just unconditional love, just a nice gesture, a hello, how are you doing today, oh you look nice today, you know, or a thank you, or I appreciate you, or a tip, or if we could put as much focus collectively on unconditional love the way that we did that pandemic, or you know, or this police brutality bull slop, or all the other stuff, the whole world, we will be able to change the world. I'm just wondering if anybody else was seeing what I saw, and I'm just praying that we will and I don't know, and I'm going to definitely start with myself. Like if I ever go back to that Valvoline, if I ever go back and I happen to be serviced by that same man that had that obvious hatred, I'm going to say something nice. I'm going to be like, I know, I'm going to say something. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm going to let the Holy Spirit use me. But I'm going to say something nice and let him know that I don't know. I'm gonna say something nice. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna say something nice. I'm gonna try to really do my best. You know, even when somebody does something rude, like the person who cuts you off on the freeway, instead of being like motherfucker, I'm not gonna do that. I'm trying to be something. I'm trying to be nice. I'm gonna try to be more patient. I'm gonna try to be less irritable about people's shortcomings, regardless of who they are. I'm gonna really try to focus on unconditional love because I truly believe that what you give out into the universe is coming back to you 100-fold. I do feel that way. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. I just wanted to see, is anybody else noticing this energy? You know, we have the power to change the world. That same power that we focus on negative stuff, we can focus it on positive stuff and be right back on top, you know, but united, which is hence the name of our country, United States of America. We can be united. But first, we got to get out that time machine and we got to push stuff forward because we've come too far. We've come too far as a people. You know, we can't go back to the 18, 17, 16, 1500s. No, we learned from that. Why would we want to go back to that class? Why we want to go back to that test? I don't want to go back to that test, you know. And I don't necessarily want to have to run to another country, you know, because running don't always help. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, definitely I'd like for you to check out Maxine's book. You can go to maxwellproductions.com. And then I have a website, patriciagoinsbooks.com, which I'm definitely trying to work on getting my books up there so that I can autograph books and I can say little messages to people who purchase a book from my website. It's not on that level yet, though, y'all. I'm working on it slowly but surely. I am. But until then, you can actually go to lulu.com and you can put in my name and you can get the books because this is the first book in the series. But if you haven't seen the movie, definitely I encourage you to watch it. If you know anybody who's in an abusive relationship and you've been trying to tell them to get out, send them a link to the movie, you know. Tell them to watch it. That movie was definitely something that God ordained. Like, I when I first decided that I wanted to write this book, I had never written a book before. Didn't really, and then like I went to school for how to read a book, how to write a book. But I prayed and I asked God. I said, God, please help me to write this book. Help me write it in a way that people will read it, and also help me to turn it into a movie, a box office hit. I asked for a best-selling book and a box office hit. Those were the prayers that I prayed before I put pen to paper, and God gave me this book, and He gave me the ability to make that movie. And it wasn't easy. It came with a lot of sacrifices. It came with a lot of prayer, a lot of tears, um, a group effort. The actresses and actors, some of them had never acted before, so it came with a lot of dedication and perseverance. And I really didn't know how to release it after it was done at first. I mean, I did the premiere, and then I was just like, "What next?" I really didn't know, and I was just crying because it had been so long, y'all. 7 years. It was so long. But then God, in a dream, God just told me, give it to Him. And literally in the dream, I could visualize myself like handing Him the baby, which it was the movie, like handing it to Him and just letting go. And so now it has definitely been taken on a life of its own. And I've heard people say that it's touched them. One lady said that it helped her leave an abusive relationship that she had been in for 23 years. So I know that God's doing what He wants to do with the movie. So um, it takes one to help one. So if you know someone who is being abused, share the movie with them, or just share it. Sometimes you don't even know who you're going to help. You just share something. You don't even know that somebody else needed what you shared, and they would have never run across it. They would have never run across it if it wasn't for you, and you may never even know who that person is. You know, 40 up until this point, 41,000 people have watched that movie, and I don't know who most of them are. So I don't know who has been helped, but I know that God put in my spirit to release it and to trust Him and to put it in His hands. So I know if He's doing that it's going to change lives. I believe that with everything in me. So I'll be at the Nubian Bookstore May the 8th in Morrow, Georgia. hmm Me and the authors, some of the authors for uh, testimonies. So we'll be autographing testimonies, and then I'll have some of my books. This Can Be Love, Ladies Delight, Love How, whatever, and we'll be. Are you ready to open your gifts from God? And I'll be autographing them. We'll be autographing. So I hope to see you there. For those of you who are in Georgia or near Georgia, or who may run across this, and you actually got to this point, because I ain't talked you to death. I'm really feeling this color. I like um, scarves. When I want to wear my natural hair, I be trying to think of different things to do with it, and I'm just feeling this scarf. It's just so cute to me. I like the whole scarf thing. And jewelry. I love jewelry too. Anyway, I've babbled enough for today. Unconditional love, y'all. That's what we need to focus on, because we're all connected, whether you like it or not. Peace and love.